Hilda Morales had spent most of her life being invisible, not because she wanted to be, but because the world had decided, long ago, that a woman like her didn't need to be seen. At 19, she had started working as a housekeeper. Not out of choice, but out of necessity. Her parents were gone, her younger brother depended on her, and survival didn't wait for dreams. So she worked, and kept working. 40 years passed like that. 40 years of waking up before sunrise, when the sky was still dark and the streets were quiet. She would make herself a cup of weak coffee, sometimes without sugar because she couldn't afford it, and prepare for another long day. By 6 a.m., she was already on a bus heading into neighborhoods where houses looked like palaces. She cleaned floors made of marble imported from Italy. She polished silverware that was never used. She washed clothes that cost more than her monthly salary. But what hurt the most wasn't the work. It was the way people looked at her. Or rather, the way they didn't. "Make sure the kitchen is spotless," one employer would say, barely glancing at her. "If you break anything, it comes out of your pay," another would warn. Some didn't even learn her name. To them, she was just the maid. And yet, Hilda never complained, because deep inside her, she carried a secret. A dream she never spoke out loud. She wanted something of her own. Not borrowed, not temporary, not something she could be asked to leave at any moment. Something permanent, something that had her name on it. So she started saving. At first, it felt pointless. How could someone like her ever afford property? But still, she saved. $1 from each paycheck. Coins left over from groceries. Tips she sometimes received during holidays. She kept everything in a small metal box under her bed. There were days she went to sleep hungry just to avoid touching that money. Days her body ached so badly she could barely stand, but she still went to work, because every hour meant one step closer to her dream. Years passed. Her hair turned gray. Her hands became rough, marked with tiny scars from years of labor. But her determination never faded. Then one afternoon, everything changed. She was cleaning a living room when she noticed a newspaper lying on the coffee table. She wasn't supposed to read it. But something made her glance at it. And that's when she saw it. A small ad, almost hidden between other listings. Farm for sale. 74 acres. House included. Her heart skipped. She read it again. And again. 74 acres. It sounded like a fantasy. But something inside her whispered, "This is your chance." That night, she didn't sleep. She did the math. Every dollar she had saved. Every extra shift she could take. Every sacrifice she could still make. It was possible. Barely, but possible. So she pushed harder than ever before. She took on more jobs. Worked longer hours. Cleaned offices at night after spending all day cleaning houses. Her body protested. Her back ached constantly. Her knees felt like they were made of glass. But she ignored the pain. Because now, she could see the finish line. 5 years later, at the age of 65, Hilda Morales stood in front of a small office, holding a set of papers in her trembling hands. The deed. Her name was printed clearly at the top. Hilda Morales, sole owner. She stared at it for a long time. Then, slowly, tears filled her eyes. She stepped outside, looked at the land stretching before her, and whispered, "This is mine." The farm was everything she had imagined. A white painted house with a wide porch. Rows of mango and avocado trees. Open land that seemed to go on forever. For the first time in her life, she felt safe. She felt proud. She felt visible. But peace, she would soon learn, doesn't always last. At first, Hilda was happy when her son started visiting more often. David had always been distant growing up. Work, friends, his own life, there was always something more important than spending time with his mother. So when he began coming to the farm on weekends, she thought things were finally changing. "Mom, this place is amazing," he said the first time he visited. She smiled, because those words meant everything to her. Soon, he started bringing Jessica. Polite, charming, always smiling. "Hilda, this place is beautiful," she would say. At first, the visits felt warm. Family dinners, laughter, shared moments. But slowly, things began to shift. "Mom, we're bringing a few friends this weekend." Then, "Mom, hope you don't mind, we invited more people." Then, "Mom, can you cook for everyone? It's just easier." And just like that, the farm stopped feeling like hers. Every weekend turned into a party. Cars filled the driveway, music echoed through the fields. Strangers walked through her home like they belonged there. And every Sunday morning, she cleaned, alone, empty bottles, dirty dishes, stained floors. "Thanks, Mom," David would say casually before leaving. But he never stayed to help. Jessica never offered, and Hilda never complained, because she told herself, this is what family does. Until the phone calls began. The first call came on a quiet Tuesday morning. Hilda was standing in her garden, watering her tomato plants. The air was still, the kind of peaceful silence she had spent decades dreaming about. Her phone rang. She almost ignored it, but something made her answer. "Hello, ma'am, this is Daniel from Elegant Events. I'm calling to confirm the floral arrangements for Saturday." Hilda frowned. "I think you have the wrong number." "No, ma'am," he replied politely. "The wedding of David Morales and Jessica Harper. Your farm is listed as the venue." The world seemed to tilt. "My farm," she repeated slowly. "Yes, ma'am. We have 200 guests confirmed. We just need final approval on the arch design, red roses or white." Hilda didn't answer. She couldn't. Her hand trembled as she held the phone. "There must be some mistake," she whispered. But deep inside, she already knew there wasn't. She hung up. And then the next call came. The caterer. Then the DJ. Then the rental company. Round tables. Chairs. Lighting. Parking arrangements. Every single vendor had the same information. Her address. Her land. Her home. Their wedding. Without her. By the fourth call, she could barely breathe. Her chest tightened. Her vision blurred. She sat down heavily on the porch steps, her heart pounding in her ears. It felt like someone had walked into her home and erased her existence. After a few minutes, she forced herself to stand. Her hands shaking, she dialed David. He picked up on the third ring. "Hey, Mom, I'm in the middle of something." "It's about your wedding," she interrupted. There was silence. A long, heavy silence. "What about it?" he finally said. Hilda swallowed. "All the vendors are calling me. They say it's happening here. On my farm." Another pause. Then, "Oh, right," David said casually. "I forgot to tell you." Forgot. That word hit her harder than anything else. "You forgot," she whispered. "Yeah, but don't worry about it," he said quickly. "We've got everything covered. It won't cost you anything." Cost. As if that was the problem. "David, this is my home." "Mom, come on," he sighed. "It's just one day. You're not even using the space like that." Not using it. 40 years of work, reduced to, not using it. "We already sent out the invitations," he continued. "It would be a disaster to change it now." A disaster. For him. Not for her. "Just make sure the house is ready, okay?" he added. "And, maybe cook something for the family after the ceremony." Something inside Hilda went completely still. No anger. No tears. Just silence. "David," she said slowly, "you never asked me." "Mom, it's not a big deal." She hung up. No goodbye. No argument. Just an ending. She stood in her kitchen for a long time after that. The walls felt different. The air felt heavier. For years, she had tolerated everything. The noise. The mess. The disrespect. But this was different. This wasn't carelessness. This was erasure. They had planned one of the most important days of their lives. On her land. Without even considering her. And for the first time in her life. Hilda felt something stronger than pain. She felt power. The next morning, Hilda woke up before sunrise. Not out of habit, but because she couldn't sleep. She sat on her porch with a cup of coffee, staring out at the land. Her land. The fields stretched wide under the soft morning light. The trees swayed gently in the breeze. Birds moved freely through the sky. Everything felt calm, peaceful, and yet, inside her, something had changed. For decades, she had lived quietly, accepting whatever came her way, enduring, adjusting, forgiving, but not anymore. This time, she wasn't going to stay silent. She walked inside, picked up her phone, and dialed a number she had found online the night before. "Good morning, Premium corporate events, a professional voice answered. I'd like to rent my property for a corporate event this Saturday, Hilda said. There was a pause. This Saturday, the man repeated. That's very short notice, ma'am. I'll pay double your standard rate. Another pause. Can you tell me more about the property? It's a 74-acre private farm. Large house. Open land. Parking space. Complete privacy. She spoke calmly, confidently, like someone who finally understood her own worth. I see, the man said, his tone shifting. We can send someone to inspect it today. Be here at 3 p.m., she replied. That afternoon, they arrived. A well-dressed man named Henry and his assistant. They walked through the property, taking notes, exchanging impressed glances. This place is exceptional, Henry said. You've taken very good care of it. Hilda smiled faintly. I worked my whole life for it. By evening, the contract was signed. $5,000, paid in advance. For one day, more money than her son had ever offered to help with. More respect than she had received in years. That night, she slept peacefully. For the first time in a long time. Friday morning came with chaos. Her phone rang nonstop. Jessica. Hilda answered calmly. Hilda, what is going on? Jessica's voice was panicked. All the vendors are saying there's another event booked at the farm. Hilda took a slow sip of her coffee. Yes, she said. I rented it out. Silence. Then, you what? It's my property, Hilda replied. You can't do this. Jessica shouted. Our wedding is tomorrow. You should have asked me before planning it here, Hilda said. We didn't think. I know, she interrupted softly. That's the problem. An hour later, a car sped down the dirt road. David and Jessica stepped out, their faces tight with anger. Mom, what the hell is going on? David demanded as he walked into the house. Hilda remained seated, calm, composed. I rented the farm for a corporate event, she said. David stared at her. You're joking. No, our wedding is tomorrow, Jessica cried. And this is my home, Hilda replied. We sent out invitations. People are coming. And you never asked me. The room fell silent. For a moment, no one spoke. Then David exhaled sharply. Okay, fine. We made a mistake. Just cancel the event. No. His head snapped up. What do you mean no? I signed a contract. They paid me. We'll pay you. More. Jessica said quickly. Whatever they gave you, we'll double it. Hilda shook her head. This isn't about money. Then what is it? David shouted. She looked at him. Really looked at him. And for the first time, she didn't see her son. She saw a man who had taken her for granted. It's about respect, she said quietly. Silence filled the room. You treated me like I didn't matter. Like this place wasn't mine. Like I didn't even need to be asked. Jessica's eyes filled with tears. Please, this is our special day. For a moment, Hilda hesitated. Her heart softened. But then, I forgot to tell you. Those words echoed in her mind. And just like that, the softness disappeared. It's too late, she said. David stepped back, shaking his head in disbelief. This isn't over, he said coldly. Hilda didn't respond. She didn't need to. Because for the first time, she wasn't afraid. Saturday arrived. At exactly 2 p.m., black cars rolled into the property. Staff moved efficiently. Tables were set. Decorations were placed. Security stood at the entrance. A corporate event. Elegant. Controlled. Professional. And far away, near the road, David and Jessica stood watching. Helpless. Their wedding, gone. Their plans, ruined. Because they had forgotten one simple thing. It wasn't theirs. That evening, Hilda sat on her porch. A cup of coffee in her hands. The sun slowly setting over the fields. The air calm, peaceful, whole. For the first time in decades. She didn't feel invisible. She didn't feel used. She didn't feel small. She felt something else. Something stronger. She felt respected. And as the wind moved gently through the trees, she whispered to herself. This was always mine.